Terrifics, which we've not talked about in like 7 or 8 issues.
Mm-hmm.
Because me and Matt both dropped it, but Matt said this week's a choose your own adventure.
Yep, I found that from Yang himself. He was on Twitter, and he was showing people how this was going to work in a comic form, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this is awesome because it wasn't just like turn to page whatever. He built a story reason into this with the T infinities, right?
Yeah,
or
so
the infinity spheres.
you were catching up for this, right?
Yes.
You read some of it before. I was considering it, and then looked at the preview pages for the Bizarro arc, and I was like, you know what? I can't be arsed reading pages of Bizarro speak.
That whole first issue almost made me regret my decision, but I kept going, and it's classic Yang, in that like not that we've been around, Gene Lin Yang for very long, but you could tell he's having fun with concepts like the whole Bizarro concept and playing the reverse of things, where his Mr. Terrific's Mr. Terrible, but he is smart, but he's Bizarro smart. So there's things at play here. And just Bizarro being a Luddite and hating technology because it's made his Earth, which I'm not going to even try, it's Earth backwards, right? It's made him basically obsolete because of all the technology. So Bizarro goes back to tries to go back in time to stop technology from ever being invented. And then that's what leads on this. And so I did get a little bit tired of having to read the Bizarro stuff, so I stopped, so I didn't get caught up before 25. However, 25 acts as a really good standalone, but also a jumping on point if you wanted to get back into Terrifics.
I didn't get caught up. I just jumped out of this issue, obviously knowing the team well enough, and it was just easy to do. So what's interesting, I actually saw you tweet something,
yes,
which intrigued me, because you said that you died, or you had the character, or you had the story sort of end in failure before you finally got to the true ending. I never did that. I didn't know that was a possibility.
Oh, look at the bragger.
I'm not bragging. I genuinely, like, because you mentioned that you choose, because in the second page, you get a choice of saying, okay, which character do you want to take the lead? And what's funny is you mentioned that you took Linya, which is who I also picked, right? So I picked Linya, and that takes you to whatever page, it was page 10 you go to. And eventually, after a little bit of action, you get to like this tree, because it's this tree that's kind of fighting them, and there's like these bird creatures.
Yeah, so just to set up, they're in Gateway City, which is their home city, which I just realized is supposed to be San Francisco at this point. And that there's this tree that is just attacking the city, and it's trying to occupy the same space, so they jump to get involved. And as they're getting involved, there's these crow creatures.
Let's call them what they are. It's the villains from the Power Rangers movie on the planet. Yeah.
Tengus. Yeah. But it's just not. So a Tengu is an actual Japanese mythological character. They're these bird warriors, and they're terrifying. If you're afraid of birds like I am, Tengu is your worst nightmare. They're basically bird ninjas, and I ain't got time for that. But yeah, so as you go, so basically Mr. Terrific has created these infinity spheres that somehow channel the Bizarro time energy stuff that he was doing in the last arc, and it allows them to fix decisions, right? And it made me think Galaxy Quest, right? Of the machine and that. And it allows you to, So I play through Phantom Girl, and I get to, I play like it's a video game.
It kind of is in a weird way. But you get to this door, right? And there's doors. There's 4 knockers, right? And what you said in your tweet is that you didn't have the clue of which one to pick. Here's the weird thing. I just apparently picked a good one by accident.
Right. Because as I read, I read through this, and I'm like, well, what did I miss? Right? So I went and I did all the other branches that you could do. And if you start with Mr. Terrific, there's a clue in which door knocker to pick. So then when you play through again, you play through as one of the other characters, and that would give you the clue to pick the right knocker.
Yeah. No, I picked the one that took us to page 13, and apparently that was just the right one.
Gotcha. Right. You lucked out. I did not. I took to a page where the Tengus overwhelmed me, and you had to reset.
Yeah. I never even knew you could fail. Like, it never even came up.
There's major failures. If you start with Metamorpho, that's it. You turn the page, you're done. because that's the wrong decision. You don't let Metamorpho, as much as I love him, you don't let him lead the squad.
Yes.
But yeah, so basically the main story through this is you get into Tengu City, and
Yeah,
basically
so actually, yeah,
if you play
just to explain this, there's an entire city of these bird people living inside the tree. Yes.
Right. And basically they've been displaced through some other events, and that Mr. Terrific has to come up with an idea that one has to be sacrificed to the other. But however, with these spheres, it allows you to see what happens through that. And I feel there's going to be more of this going forward, because if you choose to sacrifice Gateway City, as I did my second time through, to see what happens, it says, more to come with an ellipsis. But yeah, so I found that if you just follow as Mr. Terrific, if you have even the basic knowledge of him, if you follow what he would do, you're going to get through the right answer, right? If you try to change things up just for fun, that's usually what leads to failure. Or if you start with Plastic Man and make the wrong decision, either decision with Plastic Man. So the Plastic Man one, you start with him, and he decides he's going to lead the tree creature away from the city. And if you shoot the rocket over the water to the ocean, it ends up chasing you, and the Justice League of China shows up. And Keenan ends up angering the tree, because in all this time that we've been away from Keenan, he still has not learned that his arrogance gets the better of him, and it ends. Or if you shoot Plastic Man as a rocket east of the city, Harley and Ivy show up, and Ivy tries to connect with the Tree City, and everybody ends up getting crushed. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I know Connor says he's not a choose your own adventure type guy. It weirdly works with the comic medium because of the way that the panels and like the same stuff. So even if you made the decision and turned to a page, there's different routes, right? Is you follow, when it says turn to page 13, there's other art on that page that leads, from another choice and stuff. But it was a real fun story on what it means to make decisions and to be a superhero. And just because you think it's the right decision doesn't mean it's going to end up that way.
This was a really quick read for me, because once they got into the city, there was a couple of choices of do you intervene and help this old bird that's been attacked by the guards, and I did. And then I just went straight to the castle, and it got to making the choice: do we save, which did we save the Tree City or Gateway City? And I picked, we'll save Gateway City, and then it ended, and it was like, okay, it was over. I was like, okay.
So you didn't go back and do any of these other ones?
No, because I read it today, so I didn't have time.
Well, so did I. I mean, I read it this morning. I saved it, so it'll still be fresh. But yeah, I did them all. So there's a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, I never got New Superman and Justice League of China. I never got Harley and Ivy. So
yeah,
it's nice that there's all these little sort of Easter eggs in there.
It made me remember, like, there was Choose Your Own Goosebumps. They're called Give Yourself Goosebumps. And I just remember there was a Rainforest Adventure one that at the end, if you took the wrong turn, you became the creature from the Black Lagoon. And it just, I hadn't thought about that in years. And reading this morning, I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing. Like the Choose Your Own Adventure books throughout the late 90s were a thing. I had a lot of fun with this. It's very well crafted too. Yang, you can tell, was having a lot of fun, and just his style is he's almost perfect for this kind of stuff. Just like the stuff that we were used to with Justice League China, playing out over here, and him playing with mythology the way that he does. I had a lot of fun with this.
I'm not particularly fussed about the Choose Your Own Adventure side of it. Like, I mean, it's nice that it has these Easter eggs, but I'm not particularly bothered by that one way or the other. I think, though, reading this, I was like, yeah, I kind of missed these characters. I missed the interaction between Plastic Man and Linya and Metamorpho, and just them bouncing around each other. And they're so solidified as a team now, compared to a lot of that first, Lemire chunk was all about building them up to becoming a team.
Yeah, and what I appreciate about Yang is this isn't just Fantastic Four in DC. I felt that was what Lemire was doing. And here they are their own team. They have their own. They're almost like, and forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, they're kind of like the Doom Patrol. When weird stuff comes up, you send the Terrifics go in to investigate. And it just so happens that weird stuff's happening in Gateway City, their home base. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna get caught up with all the Bizarro stuff, and then going forward, I think next month I'll be back for this, just because I did miss these characters. I had a lot of fun in it. With me dropping Flash, I have an opening spot right now on this week, so why not?
Yep. Yeah, I might be back for 26. I mean, why not? I mean, honestly, it was easy enough to jump back in. I don't think I'm going to go back and read the Bizarro arc, because honestly, I thought of going through it.
If you were annoyed by that preview, then don't, because it's what's kept me from getting back. I was just like, I don't want to deal with Bizarro. As fun as it can be, because he's time traveling backwards. So as he's going through the United States, different sections are ending up in 10-year increments. So in one point they're in the 90s, and so the art style, they all have pouches. And Plastic Man's like, where did all these pouches come from? Why do I sound the way I'm talking? And a lot of fun being poked at that. And then they end up in the 80s and the 70s. So yeah, just again, it's fun, and just with as dark as it can be right now, with Dark Knight's Metal going on and whatnot, like, it's good that the Terrifics are still fun, and they came out of that new age of heroes, and they're kind of only here because of Metal.
But it's actually really funny. On the cover, it still has Dark Knight's Metal in the little box in the corner. And I'm like, oh yeah, like, I guess technically
that is a bastion of an age gone by.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is, right?
I mean, as much as we keep joking, we're expecting this book to be cancelled. I will be shocked if it survives into 5G.
Yeah,
I'll be shocked if they're still around after the 5G kind of relaunch.
Yeah, but I'm gonna enjoy it.
Who knows? What changes will be made to the timelines of these particular characters? Will they even all sync up to be at the right age, at the right time now?
Right, which we never really had Mr. Terrific in until this book, and now he's the second character in Strange Adventures, right?
But that's Black Label though, so that's on its own.
I understand, but he's back in the consciousness, right? He was gone forever, and now here he is. I mean, he's showing up in Superman. Pete, like, he was him and Plastic Man, so hopefully they have some staying power. I mean, Mr. Terrific Terry Sloan plays a big role in that Generation 1 coming up, so fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right, what are you giving it, Matt?
I'm gonna give this a 9. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, Dan Moore's art I like as well. Dan Moore's pretty good. I can't go as high as that. I'm gonna go 7.5, but I do miss these characters, and I enjoyed reading them again.
It does sound like Pete experienced a lot less of what it was supposed to be than Matt did.
Yeah, I just entirely in.
I had one decision to make that apparently would have possibly led to death, and instead I just happened to luckily pick the one that would lead, or unluckily, it depended on your viewpoint, that led to just finishing the story.
Until you get to 4 different door knockers, and it's really a 1 in 4 chance of getting it right, and I got it wrong.
Yeah, but what I mean is Matt, how many times did you go through it with? Did you do it with all the characters?
I did it all. I went to every single one, and so it took me longer, but it was worth.
That's what I mean. Like, there are whole extra story beats and characters that Matt experienced that Pete just didn't get.
I think the point is you're supposed to fail and have to go back to the start, and I just never did. So I got to the end of the story, and I'm like, well, I could go back and see what some of the other branches were, but I didn't feel inspired to, because I'm like, well, I finished it. Yeah. I'm done. And
you're the video game guy, man. Like, I figured you would have went through this just to see.
I am so guilty. See, Matt, even though there's a game with choices, I am guilty of replaying it multiple times and always picking the exact same choices.
Oh, man.
That's just who I am.
I get that. You try. You go, this time I'll play it different.
Every time I replay Mass Effect, maybe this time I'll be Renegade, and I'm like, nah. Every time I'm a paragon.
Can't do it, yeah.
I can't do it.